Hi everyone, want to do a quick few minute video on the 2D bar. Not go into too much detail on it, but a real basic simple user guide. This is just one of the tools. That's just one of the tools that can be used with a Minelab Manticore, and it should be treated as so. You shouldn't just be using this 2D bar as the go-to. It's just one of the add-ons. Obviously the other ones, the ones that have always been there, you know, the tones, that's really important. So listen to the tones and the sort of numbers that come up as well on the sort of VDI. Yeah, so it's really important. Another one that I use and most detectors use as well is the size test. So knowing how big an object is can really help, because aluminium gives beaming signals. There's not a lot you can do about small targets, but there's something you can do about a full can or a half a can. So we'll start off with the trash first. Yeah, so we'll just go straight into it and we'll talk through as we go through. So first thing up, a nice folded up, crunched up can of Red Bull. So a medium size aluminium can. Sensitivity's down because we're inside. It'll have the same effect though. So you know, that's bang on the center line. That's where you want your objects to be, on the center line. What you can do with a large object like this is just raise your coil up slightly. If it's still booming out at, you know, 12, 13 inches, then you know it's not a coin. You'll only get to learn that as you practice, and then that'll stop digging out the cans. I've got a video on that further down on my YouTube videos. So yeah, look how to not dig up cans. So unfortunately, little bits of aluminium like this, you're gonna dig them all day. You know, it's right on the center line. That center line there, that's where you want it to be. That's conductivity. So everything that conducts really well, any coins or good objects, you'll pretty much all be sitting in that line unless they're super deep and scratchy. An iron nail then, something that you want to ignore. Yeah, it's not even showing up, okay? This was dug up because there was a good target with it. So when they're super deep, the machines can be tricked. But generally, you know, you're not going to dig them up. Look at that, it's like miles off on top there. So that's within the sort of the ferrous limits there, the iron targets that you want to avoid. That you won't even hear, you'll just see pop up on your screen. This is like the bottom of an aluminium can. You do the size test on that and you'll probably end up digging at, look where that sits there, bang on there. You're probably going to dig that because that's going to have the same sort of size test and conductivity as a large silver coin. So yeah, you're going to dig that. Next we're going to do a base of a kid's toy car. Yeah, 50s, consistently 50s, even at 8 or 9 inches there. Yeah, you're going to dig that all day long. Even though that's a square object, the machine comes up as a circle. Yeah, it's like not that sophisticated where it can figure out a circle or a square. You just know it's a good target. When it comes up as a tiny little circle though, you know you're in with a good shout then. So a large button with a bit of decoration on it. You're going to dig that all day. Made of copper, so yeah, that's a digger. Turn the sound up a little bit. Yes, cranked up all the way anyway. Okay, what should we go for next? Sixpence. A 1944 sixpence. Centre line, okay, you're going to dig that. Dig that all day long, that. Something different then, a silver thimble, really thin. It's that lovely tone there. Bang on the centre line, over to the slight right in the 60s on the VDI. Yeah, it's a digger, no doubt. Right, tiniest of hammers. These are probably as small as they get, as the size of a thumbnail. Yeah, so let's see how this goes. Slightly over to left. They can go, small little hammies, blackened hammies, can go all the way to the 8s and 9s, especially quarter cuts and stuff. So, you know, Don't risk it. If it's on that centre line, you're going to dig up a bit of foil, but just dig it out, in my opinion. Something different again then. A Viking stirrup mount. I was chuffed with this find. Copper. It's got a nice pink colour to it. Nice and deep this was, and I had my 9-inch coil on as well. 50s, bang on the centre line that. Next then, a modern-ish 1966 silver ring, 0.925 purity. At that sort of angle, it pings up nice. And then once you do it like sort of flat lie, it's a lot more tricky to pick up when you do it flat. But you can see that's a lovely signal. Over to the right, because it's dense. That's done on density, so the thinner the metal object over there, like your foils, aluminiums and stuff. Centre is your medium-sized coins, medium-sized buttons, etc. And over to the right is your big stuff, your big silver coins, your chunky pennies and stuff like that. Last coin we'll do then is an Elizabeth 6p. My first hammered coin, chuffed with this. Check it out on my TikTok. Yeah, so let's see what this sounds like. In the centre, you know, nice big silver coin, so that's going to boom out all day long, that is. That's pretty much it. So in summary, like, use this as a guide, as one of your aids, you know. It's brilliant when you've got a slightly scratchy tone and, you know, it's a bit blurry all over the place, then you go with the tone. But, you know, if it's up there or it's like down there, then that's something to think about. When there's two objects in the hole, this is why I've had a few silver coins now, a rusty item in. The separation on my old Equinox 800 wasn't quite as good, I might have missed. When there's two objects in the hole like this, this is when the 2D bar comes to life. Watch this now. That's just being waved around like that, see? They're both being held a couple of inches apart. Separation's on 5, so about standard. And you can see there, look, there's two separate targets. This is where you've got to be careful not to miss stuff. That's at 1 inch separation. So I'll pull them slightly further apart now at about 3 inches separation. Being generous, maybe 4 inches. There you go. And now it's separating properly on the 2D bar. So the closer objects are together, the harder it'll be for the machine to separate and the more it blurs in. You can turn a stabilizer down. Mine's on 4 actually, because last night I was on a really heavy iron infested site. So let's try turning the stabilizer down to default 1. And see if that helps. I think it will help. That's what it does. It helps eliminate the iron, but it's also harder to just you know, sort of get in between the targets. But yeah, let's have a look now. Well, same, like they're about 1 inch apart, the same as last time. Yeah, now it separates a little bit better, but still, it's still iffy there. 2 inches. So the point I'm trying to make is use it as an aid, but it's not perfect. If there's iron on top of a good target, it will blur like you've just seen on that demonstration. And that stabilizer is only at 1 then. So let's try putting it down to 0. Stabilizer completely off and see if that makes a little bit of difference. Turn the sensitivity up as well. A little bit indoors, it might go a bit nuts. We'll keep it narrow at first, at 1 inches. Like so, and see if that helps. Yeah, you can hear there, you can hear 2 targets. So the stabilizer does impact it, but it is also, if you're in an iron infested area, get that stabilizer on and use it as a tool, because that's what it's there for. Yeah, so I've had loads of silver coins where I can hear a winkle, a little target, and I was like, that's a really bad signal on the 2D bar there with iron, but there's like a little dot there. So I'll always dig them out, and don't get me wrong, I'd probably say 80% of the time it's just a bad target. But then every now and then, like say, you know, the other 20% I mentioned, boom, a silver coin, and that's where you've got to trust it, but listen, use your ears as well, use the numbers, use all the things that you picked up throughout your metal detecting experience. But yeah, this is awesome. The 2D bar is an awesome tool to use when used correctly, but don't ignore the other stuff we've learned. Like I said, I haven't gone into the deep science of it. This is literally just what I've learned and what I've picked up through metal detecting myself and getting out and about as much as I can. I hope you enjoy the video. Please follow me and watch more of my videos as I go on, and hopefully find some more cool stuff in the future. Like this, for example, this awesome Viking stirrup mount that to represent Thor or Odin. Let's end with that one. Whoosh! I have dreams about those sort of tones. That's what I hear for. That's what I'm listening for. Yeah, thanks for your time, guys. All the best now. Speak to you soon. Hopefully bump into you on some rallies and stuff. That's enough waffle from me now. Cheers, tra.